I'm your host, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Let's begin. So stepping into that river and beginning to make a new choice and understanding that that uncertainty, that unpredictability is the unknown. Now you're in that river of change, and it is the neurological, the biological, the chemical, hormonal, genetic death of the old self. And people say to me, well, if there's uncertainty, I can't predict my future. And I always say the same thing. The best way to predict your future is to create it, not in the known, right there. That uncertainty, you can learn now how to regulate your state. Instead of living in fear because, well, the idea that things are going to get worse, the idea that you can't predict, or the idea of being uncertain or can't control something actually sets off the stress response. So now you're in the unknown, and this survival gene is switched on. Of course, people are going to, out of the infinite possibilities that exist in the quantum field, they're going to select the worst scenario in their mind, right? So then, what if you're in the unknown and you understand that, and now you can work back into that present moment and you say, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain, put my attention behind? What behaviors today, one day, what behaviors do I want to demonstrate? And the act of closing your eyes and mentally rehearsing who you're going to be when you open your eyes begins to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like you've already done it. Now the brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's a map to the future. By rehearsing mentally and doing it over and over again, the hardware becomes a software program, and who knows, you just might start acting like a happy person. Well, there's no magic there. You install the circuitry. You may start thinking in more unlimited ways. You put those circuits in place. Now, here's the tough part. And can you teach your body emotionally what that future is going to feel like before it's made manifest? That means you can't wait for your healing to feel gratitude and wholeness. You can't wait for your wealth to feel worthy and abundant. You can't wait for your new lover to feel love. That's the old model of reality of cause and effect. Waiting for something outside of us to take away our emptiness and pain that we feel inside of us. That's Newtonian cause and effect. The quantum model of reality is about causing an effect. That means the moment you start feeling worthy and abundant, you're generating wealth. The moment you're in love with yourself and you're in love with life, you create an equal. Well, the moment you start feeling gratitude and wholeness, your healing actually starts to begin. So then the word meditation literally means to become familiar with. That's what that word means. So the biological model is, well, you got to become familiar with your unconscious thoughts. You got to become aware of your unconscious habits and behaviors. You got to become so familiar with your emotional state, saying, oh my God, I've been feeling guilt for the last 10 years. I didn't know it was guilt. It just felt like me.
And this is what happens during meditation. You start to see some of these things.
You have to.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, and so then as you begin to observe those states of mind and body, consciously you're no longer the program. You're the consciousness observing the program, and you start pulling consciousness out of our biology, right? Objectifying our subjective self. Now, that overcoming process is the most important part of this work, because once you overcome it, you're no longer looking at your future through the lens of the past. In your brain and in your body, chemically and emotionally, you're seeing possibilities. So then it's natural, once you've disentangled from those programs, to start thinking differently, to start acting differently, to start feeling differently. And as you start thinking differently, firing and wiring, and you start installing the circuits and rehearsing who you're going to be, you start behaving differently, you start feeling differently, you keep doing that, it's going to begin to become familiar to you. And over time, as you overcome those aspects of yourself, you're actually becoming somebody else. There's a becoming process that begins to take place, and some people do it very quickly. Other people, it just takes some time. But once you understand the formula, and once you understand what it all means, you start seeing people make some pretty big changes.
Does the fake it till you make it thing work?
No, I'm not about positive thinking. People can think positive with the 5% of their conscious mind, but they're feeling negative for the last 40 years. That thought's never going to go anywhere. It's about changing your state of being. It really is. We're habituated. You're habituated to think about your kids, to think about your husband, to think about the grocery list, to think about when the garbage day is, to think about your errands you have to run, think about the emails you have to answer. We're habituated to shift our attention from one thing to the next. We have this mobile thing called awareness, And so we habituate ourselves into shifting our attention very quickly so that we can get a lot of stuff done. And when you do that, your brainwaves kind of amplify into a higher aroused state called high beta brainwaves. And that's good. That's good if you need to be alert. But as those thoughts come in, I don't really care that they come in. I'm just noticing they're coming in, but they're not the thoughts I want to put my attention on. So as you begin to have those thoughts coming in and you start applying a way to change your brainwaves, in the beginning, just like when you work out, in the beginning, I don't want to do this, it hurts, and then halfway through the workout, you're totally involved in it, and your fatigue is gone, you're not thinking about anything else, you're clear. Well, you keep doing it. Our research shows that, and we just had a group of scientists study a bunch of our brain scans at Bond University in Australia. Thousands and thousands of brain scans. She called me up and she said, we have never seen a community of people have the ability to change their brainwaves so quickly. Like 4 seconds, 5 seconds, in 9 seconds. They've practiced it enough times that they know how to silence the critic in their brain. That thinking is the analytical mind. And as you learn how to change your brainwaves, that default mode network, that voice in your head goes away. And our research shows that it goes away during the meditation, and then it goes away for the majority of the day. So nobody's saying to you can't, it's too hard, you're too much like your mother, you're never going to change, it didn't work last time. That's silenced in the brain. So it's not so much that you have to try to get those thoughts out of there. You just know that they're going to come, and you keep directing your thought at something else, and you keep applying the formula. Sooner or later, the chatter just goes away, and that's the relief. And you practice it, then you know when you're there and you know when you're not. And so when I do my inner work, the most important thing for me is to settle into that present moment, because when there's significant biological changes that are taking place in the brain and the heart, sometimes you feel so amazing you don't want anything any longer. You feel like you have everything, and that's what I call the natural state of being. There's coherence, high level of order in the brain. The brain is synchronized, it's orderly. The heart is synchronized, it's orderly. It's driving new energy to the brain. Once energy moves into the heart, our research, as well as other research, shows that it amplifies energy into the brain. Now you have a different awareness. You're feeling differently, you're thinking differently, because you're at a different level of consciousness. So getting to that point where you're self-regulated, you no longer live in lack, you no longer live in separation. In fact, you're no longer needing anything out there to bring you joy or happiness. It's actually coming from within. So now you're more tolerant with people, you're less reactive, you don't really want to emotionally react because you like the way you feel. And our research shows that people's oxytocin levels, their love chemicals, are way higher than the average person. Well, that's because you are what you practice. So every day they practice opening their heart. In survival, in stress, not a time to open your heart, right? It's time to run, fight, or hide. Yeah. So we close that down. We stop trusting that, and we stop trusting ourselves, and no energy is in there. And so, of course, there's all kinds of health conditions that are a result of that. So then you practice opening your heart every day, and you say, I'm not getting up till I feel like I'm in love with life. Well, now the game is on. You're out of the bleachers. You're on the field. And in the beginning, it takes a little work. But over time, you start practicing that. All of a sudden, when you feel that way, and you're no longer needing it from your outer world, you're going to be more unconditional with everybody in your life, because you're not going to want to lose this feeling. You're going to say, I feel so good that I'll forgive you. I don't really care, because nothing's worth losing this feeling. And so people work for it, and they covet it, and they learn how to maintain it. And it's not just about doing the meditation and then getting up and getting on the freeway and flipping people off or judging your coworker the next moment. You're doing that meditation to change your state of being, and then your job is to maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day. And when you do, get ready. Something unusual, something different, some synchronicity, some coincidence, some opportunity is going to show up in your world. That's the law. And then all of a sudden, you start believing you're more of the creator of your life and less of the victim of your life. Because victimization is like, why are you unhappy? All because of this person or that thing. And what you're really saying from a biological standpoint is something out there. I'm allowing something out there to control how I feel and how I think. And that's a victim. So when you start to see how you think and how you feel begins to produce an effect in your life, you start believing less that you're a victim and more that you're the creator of your life. And that's when people start getting empowered, and they say, wow, I didn't do anything. It just kind of came to me, of course, because nobody changes until they change their energy. When you change your energy, you change your life, and changing your state of being with a clear intention and an elevated emotion is producing a very dramatic change in the field. And your job is to be able to maintain it independent of the conditions in your environment, independent of the chemical, emotional, habitual needs in your body, and independent of time. And being able to do that for an extended period of time, you start to see the universe start to give you feedback. And when you start measuring, wow, you at cause, then you wake up in the morning and you want to do it. It's not like, oh, geez, I got to go create my life. Yeah. It's not like that. It's more like, oh my God, the magic's happening. I don't want to stop. I don't want to lose the magic. I want to keep going. And so people are enthusiastic and theos, filled with God. You know, they're inspired to create it. And I think that we are naturally creators. And so we see profound changes in people's body and their brain and in every level when they just keep practicing.